Hello everyone, Eva here and welcome to the next episode of Outside of Life, where I chat with inspiring artists and create various art-related videos. Before we go to the interview, I wanted to let you know that my course Storytelling with Color and Light is now available for you at outsideoflife.com/color. I designed the course for beginner and intermediate artists, breaking the big topic of color and light into smaller parts to help you understand the main concept so you can make your artworks appealing and believable. So check it out at outsideoflife.com/color. And now, let's go back to the interview. My guest today is Esben Lash Rasmussen, and Esben is a concept artist and illustrator originally from Denmark and currently working as a senior illustrator at RIOT Games in LA. He is most known for his work on League of Legends and other famous game titles. So now, please welcome Esben and let's get to the interview. Welcome everyone to the next episode of Outside of Life, and I'm super happy to have Esben here. Hi!
Hey!
I'm super happy that you joined us here today, and let's just start right away with your background, and maybe you can share some of your stories from your childhood, like maybe how your childhood smelled like. That's like a fun question.
Smelled like my childhood smelled like farm. Smelled like cows and horses and sheep. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Denmark, in a very, very, very small town. We had like a ranch very close to our house, and we were living in a small house, just my brother, my mom, and I. And I was like hidden in this like very hobbit town for a long time before I actually got out and started to see the world. I was 21 or 22 when I first was on an airplane. So.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. That was a big change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Which were your creative outlets when you were a child? Like, did you draw on the walls, maybe, or was it mainly like something else, like singing or other stuff?
No, I absolutely did. I drew on. I was drawing on a door actually. In my room, and I remember when my mom and dad saw it, they started freaking out, and they weren't happy about it. But I was drawing as a kid, like as far as I can remember, and I was doing music. I learned how to play piano, drums, and guitar. And guitar was the thing that kind of stuck me. So that has been like, because there's not a lot of things to do in the farm, to be honest. Like. You're bored most of the time,
so you want to be creative.
You want to find ways that you can kind of express yourself and have fun with it. So.
And what was the maybe point of your life when you decided, okay, I want to take art seriously, or how did you decide to go, like which school to study?
That was actually a really fun coincidence, or a nice coincidence, because it was in high school, and I like drawing and I wanted to draw, but I never saw it as a career opportunity until my chemistry teacher actually came over with a flyer for something called Game Development Camp, which was a summer camp where you could learn how to create a game in 7 days.
Yeah.
So I signed up for that and got in, and I ended up going 3 years as a participant, and then I volunteered for 2 years as a teacher afterwards.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it was like a organization as well, where you can like teach and study at the same time there, right?
Yeah, it was an organization that was basically run by students. So students that was in universities kind of studying these things, and then they were kind of teaching high school students about that this is a thing and that you can actually make games. You can take a career doing it. So they were the ones that kind of opened up all of that for me.
Yeah. And how was it for you then to develop your skills further, to study more? How did you choose the school afterwards?
It was pretty easy. Like, I was very lucky that there's only really one good art school in Denmark. And it was not too far away. Like, taking into consideration that I was living in the middle of nowhere, it was actually fairly close. So it's a school that's called the Animation Workshop, and it's in a place called Viborg in Denmark. And it's a wonderful animation school where I got a bachelor in something that's called computer graphic arts. So I'm basically trained as a 3D generalist.
Yeah, yeah. And how was it for you then to find the first artistic jobs, you know, like either during the studies or right after study? How was this process for you?
It was actually really easy. I know that sounds really annoying.
It's like everybody's like, damn it.
Yeah, no. Honestly, it went really fast. On my second year of school, I applied to a bunch of studios for an internship. I was really lucky that I got a reply from Ettenhock. So I used my summer vacation instead of taking the time off and relaxing. I flew in to Newcastle and I joined them for a summer internship for, I think it's 2 months. And then I think it was 2 or 3 months. And then I flew back to school, finished the semester. And then by the end of that year, you had to apply again for a new internship. And again, I sent out a bunch of applications. And then I think it was 6 minutes, 6 minutes later after I pressed send. Six More Vodka and Marco replied to me, and he's like, "We would love to set up a Skype interview with you." And then I got my first internship there, and then after that, I think it was 7 months of internship. I was offered a junior position there.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, yeah. And how was it then, if you can take us through the big turning points during your art career until now? From this point, how was it for you to move as well and find the new job roles?
Honestly, it's been a lot like living as a nomad. And I think that's kind of the life of a digital artist nowadays. You can, of course, freelance, but a lot of companies want to kind of have you on site and kind of wants to be able to communicate with you in person, and kind of like mentorship becomes easier too when you're there in person, so you can teach up the other artists around you. So, I moved around. I've been to Newcastle for a job. I've been to Berlin for a job. I've been to Copenhagen for a job, and now I'm in LA. So, but that's like, it's a really cool side of it too. Like, I really enjoy kind of seeing and getting different cultures under my skin. So it's something that I'm really happy that I have, but it also comes with a price.
Yeah, yeah. And so what are, maybe if someone doesn't know, like, how does this work, and it's kind of like, what are maybe advantages for you and disadvantages if someone is just wondering, like, oh, should I be like concept artist for like big studio?
I think a good thing to consider is, first, if you like the studio, like if you like what they're doing, if you like their vision, that's important. Because you're dedicating your time and yourself to them, right? So if you're fighting for something that you don't really are that interested in, what's the point? Other than that, I think it very much comes down to what you want to do. Like, freelance gives a lot of freedom. Like, you can manage your own time, you can do whatever you want. There's some uncertainty there, where having a full-time job gives certainty, stability, and what I appreciate the most is probably the people that is around me, like the other artists that is on the team, and how we communicate and give each other feedback, and how I can look over somebody's shoulder and like, whoa, that's fucking awesome, like, how did you do that? And then we start talking. So that teamwork is something that I can't do without. I tried freelancing for a long time. And I slowly, like, my social skills start doing this.
Like what?
Yeah, they really start declining, and I just become kind of weird and socially awkward after some time and being enclosed in my cave. So it's good for me to kind of get out in a social setting, and it fulfills me too.
Yeah, yeah. And so how does it look like your art process now, when you like get either the brief or you decide to work on some assignment, do you do like sketches, line work, thumbnails, color the variations, and if you can take us through some of your, steps.
Absolutely. My process is very similar to a lot of other people, I think. I do start with line drawing, and then I plug it in. I use masking technique, and I do color thumbnails. So I do about minimum 3 different colors. Then we review it, or I review it. Depends if it's a personal piece or a professional piece. And then I start rendering, and rendering can take a fucking long time. um, but yeah, it's kind of like a 3-step structure, and I do share a lot of that process on my website. So if people are interested, they can definitely go there, and there's like breakdowns of the things.
Ah, really cool. Yeah. And so how long does it usually take you to, to create like fully polished artwork? Because yeah, your artworks are really like finished to last detail. So
It is. So, well, there might be a good story here. Yeah. So it takes, at least for RIOT, like splash art, it varies. Sometimes you can be really fast, but what we said is like normally around 4 weeks. Is the time that we try to do it in a comfortable pace, because we had to create the art like for each patch. So 4 weeks is a good pace for us to kind of keep on and jumping on to the next one without fatiguing ourselves.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the story, is there some fun story with it?
There is a fun story, but it's not like connected to Riot. But I do remember. So I think like kind of like 4 weeks is a long time for a painting, right? And I remember the first time I started using a lot of time on an actual illustration, and it was a personal piece called A Kind Soul, which probably has somewhere around 140 hours in it. And it took the time of a year, like a little bit over a year from when I started to when it completed. But, it was kind of like a boxing match, like it was like every time I was like struggling, I was trying to solve the problems. And it was kind of like going into the gym and just like for an hour or two, you're hitting the sandbox and you're like giving it all you have. And then you're so exhausted afterwards that you need to leave it for a week and then come back to it and punch it again.
So which were the challenges on this piece? Like was it some material rendering or was it
It was everything. It was everything. It was hard. I've got to admit it. Like I was pushing a lot of boundaries. I was pushing my patience. I was pushing my material rendering, my storytelling, my composition, my light. So it was all of this that was like all in one package. So I did push myself a lot, and I learned probably the most I ever had from that piece. But it was tough, and I'm happy I did it.
Cool. So how did you approach the learning, along the way? Did you always like, okay, I want to create one piece where I throw everything in like super difficult light and pose and everything? Or did you like, okay, one work, like I will render materials, then I will do, I don't know, different compositions?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like after that, I try to focus on a few things instead of saying like I want everything to be awesome. Then I try to find things that are like, okay, for this piece, lighting is going to be very important. So I'm focusing and spending more time on lighting. Or next piece, it can be the design or the perspective. So I kind of like choose my battles every time. So also when doing client work, sometimes. I do remember like working on some illustrations I was not really fond of, but like you find that one piece that you want to like push and elevate yourself in, and then all of a sudden something that you didn't think could be interesting and fun actually ends up being a really good challenge and a good piece.
Before we continue, let's thank our sponsors. Are you looking for a top quality print shop and online store to sell your art prints? Then you should definitely check out InPrint. InPrint has been helping artists print and sell gallery quality prints of their work all over the world for over a decade. Created by artists for artists. InPrint ensures that you as an artist get your artworks printed in the highest quality and you earn the highest percentage compared to the others in the industry. The online gallery at inprint.com is curated by the members, resulting in a beautiful and unique collection of work. Support your favorite artists, discover new ones, and start selling through your own gallery today. And because you are part of Artside of Life community, you will get a special 10% discount with the promo code ARTSIDE. Don't wait, visit artsideoflife.com/inprint and use promo code ARTSIDE. If you love discovering and trying out new art tools, you should check out Art Snacks. When you subscribe, you will get a box of high-quality art supplies every month. I have already discovered so many amazing new products, limited edition tools, and exclusive supplies only available to subscribers. Art Snacks definitely helps me to get more creative and try different art techniques every month. There is also Art Snacks Challenge, where you can share your artworks using only the tools in the monthly box. You also get to join the Art Snacks Mix community, where you can talk with other artists like you, inspire each other and improve together. And because you are part of Artside of Life community, you will get a special 10% discount with the promo code ARTSIDE10. So don't wait, visit artsideoflife.com/artsnacks and use the promo code ARTSIDE10. If you are a digital artist, you will love AstroPad. AstroPad is an app that turns your iPad Pro into professional wireless graphics tablet for your Mac. I use it to work with Photoshop and Illustrator to create highly rendered artworks for my clients directly on my iPad. I was super excited to discover AstroPad because the painting apps available on iPad don't have all the functionality like Photoshop. With AstroPad, I can use all my favorite and custom-made Photoshop brushes, which is super cool. And because you are part of Artside of Life community, you will get an exclusive 10% discount on AstroPad Studio licenses. To get started, go to artsideoflife.com/astropad and enter the promo code ARTSIDE. And now, let's go back to the interview. And how did you think about, personal branding or developing your own style? What was the approach to that? Did it just come along the way, or you were consciously like, okay, I want to have something like that?
It came along the way. I know that a lot of artists are very personal style is very important. It's your voice. I think I disagree. I think personal style will come no matter what you do. It's just in the way that you draw or paint. And I don't think that, I think style is something that is you can change your style if it makes sense for the message that you're trying to communicate. So I think style is something, it's like a tool, right? Mm-hmm. Light can communicate a mood and style can communicate a mood. And I don't want to be captured, or I don't want to be enclosed in a comfort zone that I might call, this is my style and this is how I do things. If it can actually be better to switch to another style for the mood and for the piece and the message of it. Mm-hmm. Personal branding, I don't know, people can kind of do whatever they want. As long as they don't take advantage of other people, then I'm okay with it. If people are trying to gain a big following, they want to have a lot of fans, that's fine. If I started getting bombarded with their stuff, I just unfollow, or I just I scroll down further. It's I don't get mad about it. It's just mm-hmm. they're trying to do something and I'm not interested, so I'll just scroll past it.
Oh, yeah. And how do you do your networking then? If it is maybe not social media or, finding new jobs and this kind of thing, is it also conventions, or it's mostly relationships from different jobs you had?
It's mostly relationships from different jobs or people that reach out through email. I don't network that much because I'm not looking for another job.
Well, not right now, but along the way, through career, what you had.
Yeah, I hope. Along the way, I went to conventions. Mm-hmm. So I went a lot to Trojan Horse was Unicorn. Mm-hmm. I went to industry workshop. So I went to different conventions that is around in Europe. Mm-hmm. where I met a bunch of other artists, and I went to some portfolio reviewings and all that stuff. And that was good. But I never focused on that I needed to talk to somebody because of a job. I didn't try to force conversation. I think that's important. Probably one of the best networking tips I can give is don't force anything. Just let things happen naturally. And honestly, the best networking connections and some of the most enjoyable times I had was actually talking to other people than the recruiters, and just talk to other artists and hear how they're doing. And then sometimes, they're like, hey, I can't work on this for this client. I'm busy at the moment. Can you help me? And then you got a job through them.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because
and you got a good friend too.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you see as well how each person is behaving, or you can kind of get the reference, you can recommend someone from the experience.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. That would be my advice.
And when you went for the conventions, did you have a table and selling your artworks, or was it only walking around?
It's mostly walking around. It was going to lectures, but I've been talking to my friend, Chris, and he's been doing conventions, and it's bigger over here in the US, and he's trying there. We've been talking about me starting to do conventions because it's something that I would really love to try to do. Also, more to kind of so I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know how it really feels. And I'm honestly, I'm nervous about it. I don't know, I'm just a little nervous, kind of putting myself out there and having to be very open and talkative, because I sometimes like to go into my cave and just be me.
But if you have a table, people come to you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be interesting, but we're going to try to do that probably this year, where I cannot do that. And one thing that I'm really looking forward to do with it is actually to see people that honestly are genuinely interested in the art and likes it, and kind of reconnect with that audience. And I think that will give me a lot of meaning and purpose to see when somebody else likes it.
Yeah. Definitely. Do you have a favorite art piece so far? A favorite character story, maybe even?
From one of my pieces?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So give me a second. Let me just find it actually. I'll give it to you. Let's see. So it's the piece that I was talking about before. It's the piece about the 140-hour piece, my personal piece that I grew a lot in. So give me a second, and I'll share the screen here. Screen share. Okay. Here we go. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I saw it on our station, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the piece, and basically what it is, it comes from a story. And I'll get a little personal here. So, but basically, when I grew up, I was living in the countryside of Denmark, and my brother, who was 5 years older than me, he was born with a very rare condition which is called Prader-Willi syndrome, and it's basically, I think, the best way that I can kind of describe it is that it's a little bit kind of more intelligent than Down syndrome in this sense, in terms of head intelligence. But yeah, so he was kind of born with that condition, and I didn't really fully know or understand it until this point of time. So we were at a playground, and what happened was that this girl lost her watch, and so we were a bunch of kids, and we were running around this playground, and we were trying to find the watch. And I remember that my brother found it and wanted to give it back to this girl. And I remember him reaching out to give it to her, and how she was kind of afraid, and she saw him as a monster. And she was hesitating. So I used that kind of story, and that moment was when I started to understand that people saw my brother as being different. And I guess I also started seeing my brother as, like understanding that he was a little different than other people. But this is how, the scarf symbolizes the watch. And she's kind of hesitant to reach out to, and he's a very kind soul and doesn't want to do any harm. And you can see, because I noticed too that my brother noticed it too, and I could see that he was kind of hurt. So that's why there's this kind of wound. The other kids are kind of like standing in the background, kind of judging. And then if you look down here, there's a little turtle, which is me. And I'm observing the whole scene. So, yeah, that's the story. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
No worries.
Because that's definitely like when you have more emotional connection with the art piece, that you have more storytelling in it, and people like see it right away.
Yeah, and I think that's also like something that's really important. If I had to give some advice to people too, like working on their portfolios and everything, like put yourself in it. Like try to find something that makes like a really big impact in your life, and find a way to, communicate that. If you're from let's say that you're an artist and you're living in Egypt, right? You can actually have a lot of original voice using some of that culture and that background that you have with you to kind of create something new and exciting and different. That's something that people can still resonate with.
Yeah, definitely, because everyone from us has different story, and even someone when is thinking like, oh, I started too late with art, but you experience different things which you can then share through your artworks, right?
Exactly, and that's also why it's really important. Like I found that in my life that it's really important for me to get out and experience life, because if I don't experience life, then I have nothing that I can relate to. If I'm trying to hit a feeling and a mood that I haven't felt in one sense or another, then it's really hard for me to actually execute and really hit that feeling really well. So I try to get out and experience life as much as I can.
Yeah. So how does your normal day look like now? Do you have like a daily rituals with which contributes to your success, or a weekly, meditation?
I do like meditation, but I don't do it as often. I go to the gym. In the middle of the day sometimes, or after work. That's really good because we sit a lot. We sit down a lot, so it's important to go out and do that.
Move, and then so our back doesn't break or something.
It's really important, and it actually makes my focus a lot better and my work better too. So I do exercise. I started surfing since I moved over here to California, so that's wonderful. Love that. And I don't know, like if there's one ritual like doing. It's not really connected to art, but I love breakfast. It is like the most important ritual I have. I am like, if there's something I need to start the day off with, it's like I make like a bowl with oats and some bananas, some blueberries and strawberries, and then some oat milk. And then that's the perfect start of the day. It kickstarts me in a good way.
Yeah.
So that's the one.
Do you kind of sketch along the way with breakfast, or it's just your time to focus and recharge?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And are you planning to do some artworks with surfing as well, or not yet? Like rendering some awesome water?
It could be. Like, I think that could be a really interesting thing. I am working on a kind of secret project where water has a pretty big thing to send it, but I don't know when that will be coming out. I don't know when I will feel ready to share it either. But like let's say I was supposed to do a splash art of a character or champion called Talia from League of Legends, and she's kind of like this mage who can control earth and rocks. So she kind of like surfs on this kind of this rock thing, and she slides along the ground, and I can use that experience from surfing to actually hit that feeling better.
Yeah, and also see the motion blur and this like shifting the focus and transparencies and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but other than that, I don't really have any rituals. I think it might be important. Hmm. If there is one thing, if there's one thing that would be really important to give to others, I think, in terms of rituals or kind of like trying to improve, is you of course need to put the hours in there. The hours are very important because it's a slow process to get better in terms of art. But focus on feeling, you know. Focus on, you have three things that people often forget, and that's like message, feeling, or idea. It's like those three things are the most important things in whatever you do in terms of working as an artist. It's like, are you doing an illustration? Okay, what's your message and what's the feeling you want the viewer to have? Like, if you're doing concept art, what's the idea? Like, why is this different? Like, so a lot of students, and some of the mistakes I did as a student was like, it's just like, I just want to make cool shit. It's like, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Because you're not saying anything with it. Like, art and this is a language. You're communicating. So it's like writing. Like, and if you're just like pressing down on all the buttons and you don't know what you're saying, it's not gonna be nice for other people to read either. Like, so you need to condense it down, and you need to know what you want to say. You need to have a message and a feeling with everything. It's the same with art. Like, it's a language that speaks to emotions.
Yeah, because you need to have the emotional connection with the piece to kind of create the relationship with it, right? So you want to see more.
Absolutely. So that's, I don't know, that would be a good advice, I guess.
Yeah, and when you are creating your artworks at work, or even like on your own, like when you have a first concept, because if you say it takes like 4 weeks, for example, how do you present your first concept? Is it the line work and maybe with the idea of like, okay, this will be like, I don't know, glary eyes and this will glow as well, and this is the story point?
I think it's easier to show.
Sure, perfect.
So let me show how it looks like. I try to take, so when I say sketches, I take sketches pretty far in terms of what they're actually, what's in them. So let's see here, boom, share screen. All right, so so this, for example, is for example like a sketch that was done for League of Legends. And you can kind of see how I try to get as much of as the composition and what's kind of going on, and how close it kind of becomes, or how close it is to the final thing. Perfect. So I try to go pretty far in it. So that's like one of the things, like, because I think it's important for us to communicate. In a second, I can also show. This is a personal piece I'm working on at the moment, but this would kind of like be like a sketch for me. So it's like line drawing is kind of there.
As well.
Exactly. So it's important for me to kind of also hint where the light is coming from, because the light sells a lot of the mood and the feeling. So I think it's important to take the sketches a little bit further, because it's not everybody who has the same kind of imagination and eyes, creative eyes, as you do. So it's important to show people where it is you're going with it, so they can see where the final product will be or feel like.
Yeah, definitely. Because then if you want to also kind of see how you group the values, right, and then you work within the values, so you don't lose the overall light idea what you had at the beginning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so that would kind of be my sketches. But yeah, line and then some quick values.
Yeah, and do you limit yourself time-wise when you are creating the sketches and the value?
Yeah, drawing, I think, is about okay. I do limit myself, but I also like take some liberty if I need some more time. Drawing is about somewhere around an hour and a half to two, and lighting would be an hour and a half. So it takes about 3 hours to make one of these.
Yeah, yeah.
If it goes well, if it goes like it can take more. So it all depends. Sometimes some pictures are more complicated than others.
Yeah, yeah. And do you prefer to work like zoomed out, so you don't stuck with the details?
Yeah, I definitely want zoomed out. It creates a better overview.
Yeah, yeah. And if you would kind of go back to your art career, is there something you would advise to young self? Something I wish I knew before I started.
Yeah, absolutely. That would definitely be the focus on feeling. Like, ever since, like, and that's the thing. Like, that's the reason why I also put up that image, is like with the turtle, the piece that's called "The Kind Soul," the story about my brother. It was a huge shift in my mentality. There was a shift of starting to focus more on feeling and starting to focus more on a story and trying to convey an experience to somebody else. And after that piece, everything changed for me. Like after that piece, I started getting exposure. I was very nobody knew who the I was before. And that was good. Like, that was good. I needed that kick in my ass to keep studying until it was good enough. But that piece changed things, and it changed my mentality and it pushed my boundaries. But definitely focus more on emotion and try to convey an emotion and do that effectively.
And at this time you were still in school, or that was like during the university or high school or sometime?
It was still in university.
Yeah.
I was at the animation workshop, and it was my second or third year, so it's like almost at the end of school. And I had some good people and friends who helped me along the way with giving me feedback. And that was really helpful. So, ask for help. Like, that's a good question or good advice too.
Yeah.
Like, ask good friends and or people that you admire for help. Don't bother people. That doesn't mean you just like write. Yeah. It doesn't mean you just like burst in and write, Jamie Jones or whatever, and you're just like critique my work. You can find other ways of getting feedback, and you can join. There's Google Hangouts where people sit and draw, and your drawing groups and communities. So getting some of that is sometimes better, because you grow with other people and you help others and you get help too. So it's a fellowship.
Yeah. Do you also know some like either Facebook groups or other like artistic groups where you can get the feedback? Do you have some recommendations for that?
I know. So there is I don't know how active it is anymore, but there was Draw or Die, I think it was called. It was a community. There is character design that Pinterest. It's like a Pinterest kind of group thing. It's very big. You can find references there. So if you go to Pinterest, you write character design references. I believe that pops up. And then I know Irish Muddy. Sorry, I forgot the full name, but I know Irish has a small Google Hangout too that everybody can come in and join. What they do is like to sit in a Google Hangout and then they mute themselves but share the screen. So you don't have a lot of clutter with people talking all the time. The chat is active sometimes, but you can be there. And the cool thing is that people can see you when you're slacking, but you're putting yourself in an environment where everybody's working, so it helps you kind of like do your work too.
Yeah, so it's like a normal kind of sketch club, but it's online, so people can see if you're working or not working.
Yeah, and there's some really nice and cozy conversations in there.
Oh, really nice. Cool, cool. Yeah, because it's sometimes hard when you are in some place where there are no other artists, as you mentioned as well, if you're growing up somewhere where, yeah,
Yeah,
the community is not as like in LA maybe.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, I hope that I can also like. I grew up in a place where I had no community. Like, um, I wanted to be an actor up until I was 18. So I didn't pursue art until then. Like, I yeah, like I started when I was about 18, and then I really started getting going when I was about 19, 20. That's when I really started dedicating a lot of time to it.
Yeah.
Um, so, but school was were the place where I found a community, and I found friends and people to push me.
Yeah. And for developing your skills, did you have a favorite resources, like favorite books or drawing outside or something like cool tips someone can check out now?
Yeah, man, there's so many. Andrew Loomis is amazing. His books are free. You just write Andrew Loomis, and you can find all his books. Study them because they're genius. James Gurney, man, there's a lot. Scott Robinson with How to Draw for Perspective. Then I'm you never stop studying, so I'm sitting with Frame Perspective at the moment.
Yeah.
That's a good book too. So there's a bunch. The cool thing is that you don't really need art school anymore. There's so, like, at least for a lot of this stuff, what you need is a hell of a lot of discipline, but all of the resources is out there. All of the resources to learn and all the knowledge you can find, but it takes time. And sometimes you read something and you're like, well, like in principle I understand this, like, but I don't know how to apply it. So sometimes that happened all the time for me. Like, I understood the principle of it, but I understand the theory behind it. That was the word. I understand the theory behind it, but when it came to actually doing it and putting it to use, it sometimes took me a year after that I actually understood the principle before I understood how to apply it. So sometimes it just takes time.
Yeah. Because when you like see the theory, either like, okay, like perspective and the character, would you go then to search for a model drawing, or now you can draw like characters from your head from different poses, or do you still go to like sketch clubs or to draw like live drawing?
I did live drawing before school. I took a 6 months class where we were drawing a lot. We were drawing a lot, and it was a lot of croquis, like sketches, like 30 seconds, like poses, and then long studies, which was 9 hours of drawing one pose. So I did that for 6 months, and that helped a lot. But I don't really do it that much anymore. I try to practice drawing more from imagination now, so try to understand basic construction of the form. So it's like, the chest is kind of like more like an egg shape. So you draw like an egg shape and you understand the ellipses, and then you dive into perspective. Perspective is one of those things that, like, if there's one thing that I see in terms of professional and students where they're really lacking knowledge, it's in perspective. Like for some, like, it's always in the fundamentals that we need to get better. And I myself is like, I'm always working on perspective because it's fucking hard, but it does like a lot. But everybody, like, it feels like there's like a common thing where people just want to skip the perspective part.
Because it's maybe not so exciting as a color or something, but as humans we are so accustomed to see it like right away when it's not right. Then you are like, oh, something is off.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, right? Like, if you're trying to create a believability, right? Like, you want people to relate to your piece and to feel that they're in that scene. Perspective is like it's so important. And if you fuck up the perspective, they won't feel it and they won't believe it. So it's perspective is so important for believability.
Yeah.
So that's where at least I put my focus. Like I try to draw in perspective all the time.
Yeah, yeah, because we never stop learning. So yeah, that's a good one. And if you think about the future, what is your dream scenario in 5 to 10 years? You know, maybe the projects you would like to work on, or
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I would like to work more in terms of creating pieces that means or has a deeper meaning, if that makes sense, or like a more poetic uh, thing. But I think right now that's something I can do in my personal time. So, but like I think 5 years, 10 years, I would like to kind of do more personal pieces. Um, and so yeah, that would be or find ways to put that those kind of deeper messages into my work.
yeah. And what about in 100 years? You know, like super far, far in the future. What would you like to be remembered for?
Uh, Man, I think okay. This is gonna sound cheesy because like not only that, but like here's the thing: we live in an age where we're gonna record this, and they will be able to look back in 100 years,
They can check
and
it
they'll be
out.
like, yeah, they'll be like, dude, you said this. Honestly, I would like to be remembered for bringing people together or being able to inspire people to not give up on their voice in terms of the language of what art can be. So I don't really. It doesn't matter if you want to work with it or not. I think what is important is that you communicate. You keep in touch with that communication side of you. So so I want to be teaching more in the future of my life. And I want to be, I guess, remembered mm, for making things a little bit better, or maybe a lot better if that's possible, but at least kind of being an addition in the right direction or helping people. That would be a big one for me.
Yeah, yeah, that would be super awesome because like it always helps when we help each other to inspire each other and then we can create even better stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like honestly, I think for me, art has not only been like it's a lifestyle for sure, and it's a job too at times. But once in a while, and when you do it for yourself, it's like a meditation, and you're looking inwards, and you're figuring yourself out in a sense. You're like, how do I feel about my life right now? Okay, what are the things I'm struggling with? Then you start putting that down into piece of paper, canvas. So it has taught me a great deal about myself and how I feel, like, and what's kind of going on inside of me. And if I can give that to anybody else, like, even if they are working in the industry or not, it doesn't matter. Like, if they just enjoy it and do it for themselves, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And before we say goodbye, maybe you can share last advice or key takeaway, and then we will slowly finish.
All right, let's see. Let's try to make this a good one. Um, I think that would be do it for yourself. Like you can be working, as a professional artist, and you can be, um, doing work and doing art as a living, but not enjoy it. And you're just scraping by, and you're outputting one piece after another. Try to just change the focus to do it because of you. Like find ways where you find it interesting to do, or tell something with it, or learn from it, or like just connect with that passion that kind of came from when you were a kid. Like because if you start like going into this, if you start going into this job and this career, you will find that passion fades away a bit. Like when you were a kid, you would like draw because you didn't want to do homework, or you just started sitting and drawing because you wanted to and you loved it, right? I have experienced in my life that now sometimes I will do the laundry before I'll do the drawing, which says something about, that sometimes drawing becomes a job, and that's fine. But it's very important to keep that passion alive. It's very important to protect it too, because if you don't have the passion, you will have a hard time continuing to keep creating. And it's not like, it comes in periods too. Sometimes it goes high and sometimes it goes low. I think it's just important to do it for you. So that would be the last piece of advice.
Yeah, definitely, because just to keep the passion for art alive and not to give up, because as you mentioned, sometimes it's hard.
No, absolutely. Like sometimes it's really hard.
Or just frustrating, right? It's like, oh, it doesn't go how I want. It doesn't look how I want.
Oh yeah, no, it can be very depressing. I hit a depression because of it. But one key takeaway, I guess, too, is I learned that whenever frustration comes, it means that you're just about to learn something new.
Yeah,
frustration always comes before you're about to make a new discovery or learn or grow. So
some new revelation.
Welcome frustration. Every time frustration is turned on, ooh, I'm so close.
It will go. It will
yeah, just gotta keep punching that sandbag.
Yeah. Definitely, because then we will just improve, and then we will be just along the way and happy with that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you so much again for being here. It was so nice.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting.
Thank you so much again, and thanks everyone who joined as well today, and see you guys in the new episode. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe because I post new videos every week. I would be also super happy if you let me know your thoughts in comments and give the video a thumbs up. You can find all the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a couple of free artist resources ready for you. So if you want to listen to the interviews on the go too, make sure to check out the podcast at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Continue to inspire each other, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!